Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how I built my sheet goods trolley, which I made for the sole purpose of moving full or nearly full sheets of plywood from my van up into my condo. If you've ever tried moving a full sheet of plywood, you know how awkward it can be. Basically, you need some kind of a cart that allows them to balance freely. Otherwise, you end up having to balance the sheet on the cart at the same time that you're trying to steer the cart, which is incredibly awkward. I came up with this design, which is kind of just a mini version of my storage rack on wheels. I used a dolly that I already had and made a detachable frame so that I could take it apart to save space when I'm not using it. I started by cutting out the pieces that would make up the sides of the frame, then cut some strips for the brackets that would allow me to attach and remove the frame from the dolly. Okay, this next cut was actually a pretty exciting moment for me because it was my very first cross cut on my new dashboard workbench. Very satisfying. I cut out the remaining pieces for the brackets and began putting them together. I said this in my last video, but one of the things that I appreciate the most about the dashboard are the leg supports. They quickly proved to be one of the most useful features on this bench, and they are a game changer when it comes to being able to vertically support your workpiece at a comfortable height. This is my first MFT style bench, and the options for holding down your workpiece are pretty incredible, especially coming from my Mastercraft bench with a warped top. If you think using dominoes, screws, and glue seems like overkill, I'd have to agree with you. I'm honestly just practicing a few different techniques here on a project that isn't particularly critical. Every new tool has a learning curve to it, and a new bench is no exception. My next project is going to require some pretty accurate domino work, so I wanted to use it here to practice my technique. These were all straightforward butt joints, which are easy enough to make, but there are still a lot of things to consider. Essentially, being able to maintain pressure at the proper angle is what will determine the accuracy of your joint. If you screw it up, there's not a whole lot you can do other than make a new mortise, assuming you have the space to do so. Next, I attached the brackets to the sides. This is cheap birch plywood with a lot of voids, and you can see the glue getting squished out of the end grain here. With my sides assembled, the next step was to fasten them to the dolly. I wanted them to be detachable in order to make it easier to store when not in use, so I drilled holes and fastened them with bolts and wing nuts. Even as I was doing this, a voice in the back of my mind was saying, "You know damn well you're never going to bother taking this thing apart." And so far, that's been the case. But I could if I wanted to, and knowing that feels good, I guess. I screwed on the front panel and cut out some handles with a jigsaw. Or rather, I tried to cut them out with a jigsaw, but the radius was too tight and I scorched the crap out of my blade. So I used a hole saw instead. Whenever possible, I like to drill a 1/4-inch pilot hole all the way through so that I can start on one side and finish on the other to avoid tear out. I gave the handles a quick sand and I was pretty much done. I actually took it out for its maiden voyage at this point and realized that, yeah, having some kind of a stopper strip at the front would be helpful, and also adding some rails across the back would make it way more functional and prevent smaller pieces from falling off. So here it is again in its current form. I've gotten a fair bit of use out of this since building it, and it works great. Thanks for watching.